Nice to see you here, and already thanks a lot for your interest in KNX and in my specific contribution here. My name is Christophe Partoens, and I work here since a while now. I joined when KNX Association was still called the IPE Association. That was back in 1998. I work in the tools department, and our main responsibility in that tools department is to keep the KNX tool chain in general and the KNX commissioning tools specifically stable and up to date. My presentation here is to enlighten you about the role of the so-called manufacture tool, actually to explain how it serves our tool chain. So, well, let's have a look at the agenda. The agenda, actually, I can, or the presentation, if you want, I can summarize in 3 questions. You see the questions on the slide here. So first question is, why do I need manufacture tool actually? Second, then, okay, since this manufacture tool is so important, yeah, is there any self-training? And furthermore, is there any advice you can give me once I'm started with that manufacture tool? So that are the 3 questions. So let me now give you the answers, of course. So the first question, so why do I need this manufacture tool? Well, I could say that the role of the manufacture tool is to create the representation of any physical KNX device in ETS. Or in other words, you'll need this manufacture tool in order to create ETS catalog entries for your KNX devices. So the first question is then answered. The second question, okay, I got, it seems to be so important. Well, is there then at least some kind of training foreseen? And how do I even start with the manufacture tool? My answer here is that, well, first of all, the question is indeed justified because there are simply no manufacture tool trainings available. But that is going to change, and it's going to change very soon now. Concretely, what will we do? We will first of all offer an online self-training platform. And second, the next release of KNX Virtual, so another resource, in case you don't know it yet, will have a so-called developer mode. And it is the combination of both that will allow you to learn all about manufacture tool by yourself. Given you own a manufacture tool license, of course. Then the third question then on the slide, is there anything else that I shall consider? Do you have any further advice in order to make proper ETS catalog entries for my devices? So definitely yes, the answer that is there, yes, but I will come back to that during my demo later on, a few slides further. And then let's go to the next slide already. So about that manufacture tool self-training then, I would like to tell you a little bit of history there. So the first step in order to develop the manufacture tool self-training platform for us, so what did we do? We invited some, let's say, unexperienced KNX product developers. For those guys, at that moment when we invited them over here to our premises here, a manufacture tool was for them more or less, yeah, it was actually more or less a mystery indeed. It was actually a kind of struggle even. They had difficulties with it. They didn't understand it. So indeed, after just a couple of hours of training and intense discussions during the course, we knew, yes, this is the right concept. So, and that's then what we have finalized now, that we are going to finalize, so to say. And by the way, the fact that I made that statement that the concept worked was indeed confirmed by their feedback. So concretely, we will still release this year the first version of the Manufacture Tool self-training platform. Then KNX Virtual, so to say, the other resource of the self-learning of Manufacture Tool. Yeah, if you're not familiar with KNX Virtual yet, then my advice is definitely to have a look at it. So there's documentation. I would say install it and play with it. It's free of charge anyway. Why did we develop KNX Virtual anyway? Well, that first goal that we had with it was actually for anyone interested in KNX to get experience with our system, because it literally lowers the threshold to 0. Because KNX Virtual contains a 100% free of charge KNX installation containing more than 20 KNX devices. So that's a nice gift, that's a nice start. So with the newly introduced developer mode, and given, of course, you own a Manufacture Tool license, you have now, thanks to this combination, you have the opportunity to make experiments. Concretely, this means you can test your devices, so to say, based on ETS catalogs that you have created yourself. So you make the experiment, so to say, you make something in Manufacture Tool and you can immediately try it. That is actually what will be possible. So that's basically what I have said here in summary. So check the documentation and so on. And then the last point is I will even also show you KNX Virtual in action, because that I will use for the last part. So for the additional advice that we have in order to make user-friendly products. So user-friendly products and the demo. So what are the what could be ingredients, or what could you do, what could you add to your for your products in order to make them user-friendly? Because maybe I need to translate that term a little bit, because with user-friendly products we actually mean intuitive ETS parameter dialogues. That's actually what we mean. So how can we make these ETS parameter dialogues more intuitive? Well, we think that this could be done via icons, via parameter set validation, via dynamic object names, via object trees, via direct read-write from the parameter dialog, so instead of a regular download, and master reset. Because with a master reset, we can influence device channels individually, also again, without the need for a regular download. Okay, so that said, that in summary, now I would like to go into a bit more details, and also at the same time demonstrate a few things to you. So first item, in order to make more intuitive ETS parameter dialogues, are the icons. Because we think that, well, even without being ergonomic experts, of course, we strongly believe that icons can make ETS parameter dialogues more user-friendly. Icons can be used for several several elements within the ETS parameter dialog. In my demo here, I have just used it for distinguishing parameters. Maybe a small demonstration. So here we have KNX Virtual. So I have it in developer mode. That means I can do experiments with the dimming activator. A dimming activator here, for your understanding, is this device called D0. So I can play with ETS now, because I have here this catalog entry that I have created with Manufacture Tool myself, imported it, and now I can really test it. So what have I done? So for the first item, so the icons, well, simply, actually, if I just have a look at one channel for its parameters, then I have added here icons. This is just an example. Then how to make ETS dialogues more intuitive. parameter dialogues more intuitive is parameter set validation. What is the use case here? Well, imagine that certain parameter value combinations shall not be allowed for your device. Well, we believe that validation in this context is the most user-friendly approach. In my demo here, I have foreseen two such cases. It's just an example. Well, I think that the combination of slow dimming with a lot of dimming steps is not a good idea. So if I try this, so I have the dimming speed set to slow. If I would now change the dimming steps from 16 to 64, then I will get a message from the ETS parameter dialog telling me this is not a good idea. So let me try. And here it is, parameter validation, slow dimming plus 64 steps is not useful. So so it means, of course, please use another combination. So 16, 32, or 8, whatever, that is all okay, but not 64. So fine. The other way around, if we do a fast dimming and we combine that with just 8 steps, that is also not a good idea, also not useful. So this is, yeah, this was then a small demo for parameter set validation. Okay, dynamic object names then. Well, it can be very convenient indeed for an ETS user to recognize details of an object directly by its name. Especially those details that alternatively can only be found by checking the parameter settings of the device. In my demo, I have used this feature in order to distinguish fast versus slow dimming control. So concretely, it means that the dimming speed parameter defines the name of the 4-bit object. So let's have a look. What does this mean? So if I just have a look at the objects here, so even in the tree view, I can see here indeed dimming control. So dimming control, as I said, the 4-bit object. So its name is so within its name, I can immediately see, this is set for fast dimming. So if I indeed change the parameter, so its parameter setting to slow, then you will see immediately in the name of the object, of the 4-bit object in the tree here, or in the list view also, of course, you can see that the name indeed changes because of just changing this parameter. So let me show that to you. So I change from fast to slow, and then indeed the name has been updated. Back to fast. And another aspect that we could use here are the so-called object trees. Because indeed any ETS user will sooner or later be confronted with the need or even the urge to have objects grouped together according to a specific context or a specific situation. In my demo here, an object tree has been set up for channel 5 of this dimmer, of this dimming actuator. The object overview in the list view, so whatever I select left, will have an influence on the selected elements in the tree view. So left influences right, so to say. So let me try to demonstrate that to you. So if I just go to the object view here, then, and if I have a look at the channel 5, then so when I just select the channel here, so the entire channel, so to say, then I see indeed all the objects. So what I selected left has an influence on right. So on right, in this case, I will see all objects. If I go deeper, if I just go to objects, then example given here, in this case, I made a tree in such a way that object number 40 is not visible on the right side. Again, this is just an experiment, of course. If I want to see specifically the feedback object, so only those objects that are involved in feedback, then I just need to select that that folder, and here we go. So I only see those 3 objects. I can even go deeper. I can select even the specific feedback objects, because the feedback objects here only involve the actual feedback objects. Various, the other overview, so the higher overview, the feedback, was also included the enable, disable feedback. Again, this is just an experiment. Alarm, same principle, so also there a general overview for the alarm objects. If I only want to see the actual alarm objects and not the enable, disable alarms object, then I again select just this folder. Okay, next thing is direct read-write from the parameter dialog. This feature makes it possible to set parameters without the need to download the entire application program, because that could take a long time. This feature is especially useful if the parameter modification does not require a reset of the device. In the demo here, you can see that I have prepared such feature for the dimming steps parameter of the first 4 channels of the dimming actuator. So that's right. There's also a direct read, which of course can also be useful. Example given in a calibration situation. You need to calibrate something, and that calibration depends on another parameter. Then you feature, so the direct read, better said, would also be useful there. So let me also demonstrate that briefly to you. So if I just go back to channel 1 example given and check the parameters there, then I can set, so via, let's say, in the conventional way, let me, example given, change the dimming steps to 64. So I just do a commissioning, so a classic download application here. So if everything is okay. Yeah. So I have set now this parameter via the conventional way, so with a download application. But I could also use this feature here, so the direct read, direct write. So I have set it to 64 steps for channel 1. So with this direct read, and I can even show you the telegrams. So maybe I'll do that again, because I forgot to open the monitor just before. So no problem. I just download the application again. So I keep the 64 steps here, but I just do it again just to show you the parameters, to show you the difference in how this works. So download application. Then you will see here a lot of telegrams. So 181. That's what we can see here. If I now clear the monitor again, and I do, first of all, via a direct read, I see that the direct read gives me indeed the result that I have just commissioned, 64. So that is reading. Again, the read could be useful in a calibration context, to set another parameter example. Now the direct write, because that was actually the point I tried to make here. So I do again a clear of the monitor, but now I set it back to 16 steps. Well, I can just do that with a direct write. So I'm going to click this button, and then we will see that it only takes indeed a few telegrams to set it back to 16 steps. And then the last thing that I can demonstrate here is the master reset. Well, master reset, this feature is convenient for users of KNX installations in general. And also, of course, for maybe then indirectly for the ETS use. Why do I say that? Because the master reset makes it possible to modify specific channels without influencing the other channels of the same device. Because the device download without using this feature, this system feature actually, will just affect the entire device. Yeah. So let's have a look in the demo how this works exactly. So I don't need the monitor anymore. So what do we have here? So I have a commissioning tab that offers now several possibilities. So I can choose for keep all channels unchanged, reset all channels, or reset an individual channel. Therefore, I have prepared just for the demo here a small test. So I just have created two links. So two group addresses have been assigned to channel 1 and channel 4 in order to set some dimming value. So if I just now wait, I maybe need to change the view in KNX Virtual here to the base view would be okay. And then to set some value, so example given here 80%, okay. And in this case, I put it to 60%. Okay, now let's have a look. I have 80 and 60 for channel 1 and channel 4 respectively. Now, if I make a modification, let us assume that I made some modification here, and I'm going to commission device. I can say, so assume indeed that I have made a modification to channel 1, but I want to keep the other channels unchanged. So don't switch off the light. Then I can say so. Then I can choose that. I can say, okay, only reset channel 1, please, when I do a commissioning now. So let's have a look what the effect will be. So I have here channel 1 being switched on, channel 4 as well. What I want now is that this commissioning doesn't influence channel 4 because that was working fine. I didn't change it. So let me try that. So download application, and now let's see the effect. Well, we see that the effect is already there. So device 0, the dimming actuator, sorry, the channel 1 is switched off, but channel 4 is still switched on. It's still set to 60%. Okay, so I am at the end of my presentation. So let me then just go to the last slide indeed. Thank you very much for attending my presentation. Thanks for your interest in KNX in general and for your interest in my presentation specifically.